Interesting.
I love your browser history.
I like that you're not hiding anything from me.
By the way, nice IP address. I like your neighborhood.
You are so special. This ad is just for you.
I learned so many things from you.
You are so generous.
With your personal data.
Switch on privacy, switch off trackers and viruses. Go to nordvpn.com. NordVPN. Safely be you.
Fulham 1, Manchester United 1 on Super Sunday. No, the red face is not because I'm angry. I went out in the sun and didn't put sunblock on today. Although I am frustrated at Manchester United. Not good enough. Not good enough out wide. Not good enough in front of goal. And we have to address the goalkeeper situation now because it was the start of the downfall to today. Yes, it's a better result than last week, but performances matter. The energy here will be the same. But make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. Get that bell notification turned on as well. This is the Full Fan Highlight Show. Thank you very much for tuning in this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out to our title sponsor, NordVPN. You should not be using the internet without protection. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that. Using the internet without NordVPN is like trying to defend corners with Bayindir in goal. You are always at risk. So get yourself signed up right now. Make sure you're protected online from scammers, from fraudsters like Bayindir trying to steal your data, trying to steal your personal details, your bank details. Plus, you don't get to use the internet privately as well. So I know some of you like to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You're adults, you're allowed to do it, but the bill payer can see what you're doing online if you're not using a VPN provider. So get signed up now. Make sure you get that done by, the QR code's on the screen. I thought I'd missed it then. Or click on the link in our live chat. You get 4 months free, courtesy of us at the Football Terrace. But today wasn't good enough. It just wasn't. It wasn't good enough today. And yes, last week I was a lot happier with a win, with a defeat, than I am today with a draw. Because although the result is important, and I'd have loved to have nicked a win at the end and I would have celebrated it, but much bigger problems to worry about today for Manchester United. And the first kind of comes as a little bit, the biggest problem, and a lot of people won't focus on this, is the word goals. The biggest problem is goals. Today follows such a similar pattern to what we have seen, what we saw last season. Cunha should have had a good shot in the opening minute, just over the bar. Then a wonderful bit of play between Dorgu, Mount, and Cunha. Cunha's through on goal. A wonderful side-footed shot hits the post. Not quite accurate enough. Bruno shot at the edge of the box. Then Bayindir plays a lovely long ball. The touch from Cunha is out of this world. Should bury it. Very good save from Leno, yes. But it was worrying. And at that moment, and the people in the group chat will tell you, that is when I started to worry. Because this Man United team is still very, very vulnerable. Some of it is tactical. Some of it is player-based. But a big percentage is mentality. And you saw last season creeping in the later the game went on. What if we don't get the win? What if we lose? We've missed big chances. We have to start taking them. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you guys a statistic. And this is damning in every single which way. Since the start of last season, Girona, 30 is the number, are the only team in Europe's big 5 leagues who have failed to score a first half goal in more games than Manchester United, 29. 29. Man United are the worst team in the top 5 leagues in Europe for scoring goals in the first half. And let us not pretend we didn't have gilt-edged chances today. Let us not pretend we didn't have gilt-edged chances against Arsenal. You can look at Ruben Amorim and say Šeško should have started the match. And I think that's a fair criticism. He said he isn't settled yet. But I think it's a very, very fair criticism indeed. But in terms of coaching the team, I think the starting lineup played well. We created the chances. We were the better side for large periods of that first half. We're going to get onto the turning point for me, and there's 2 of them. And we don't take the chances. We don't score the goals. Then you move on to the area where we started to lose our way and Fulham started to gain confidence. And I'm going to start by mentioning Arsenal because there's a point to this. Do you remember last season when rival fans and the media started attacking Arsenal because they scored from set pieces? It was probably around October. And it got to a point where every time Arsenal won a corner, especially away from home, their crowd got up and the away fans got nervous. The players got nervous. It was this almost like a hoodoo over the teams. And it took a couple of months to settle down. Bayindir is creating that. And Ruben is creating that by picking him in our goal. Every time they got a corner, let's go back and watch the game. Now your nerves have gone. Every time they got a corner, it was almost like they got a penalty. The noise was very much the same. And Bayindir is a massive problem. And I mean this a little jovially, but I'm going to say it anyway. Where's the fire in this, man? Someone has got to, someone has got to tell Bayindir that the defenders have said your mum. We have got to tell Bayindir that someone's been slagging his mum off. Because where's his aggression? Goalkeepers can smash through people. He's a cream puff. I'm sorry. For a 6'3", 6'4" geezer, he is moist. Absolutely moist. He really is. And in the first half, they had opportunities, Fulham. They started to grow in the first half. But 9 times out of 10, they were coming from set pieces. And the reason they were coming from... Listen, you can... In our group chat, people made some good points. Is the zonal marking working? Can we defend differently? Maybe. We're not great at set pieces. No one's going to make that argument. But most goalkeepers catch all those crosses that came in. And when that happens, you start to build a confidence. And if we had a goalkeeper that was catching those corners, Fulham wouldn't have started to build up a head of steam. Then you get to the third big problem. And this one was massive for me. Everyone's going to say midfield got overrun. And they go, whoo, midfield got overrun. And you go, yeah, I know. And everyone goes, see, midfield's bad. Get a bit of midfield. Yeah, it's a fair point. But most midfields would have got overrun by Fulham today with their tactic. Watch what they did. Go back and look at the screen. Go and pause your frames when United were trying to attack. Iwobi and why am I now forgetting his name out on the wing? Well, Lukic was playing central midfield, but he'd often drift out there. Castagna. You had Castagna and you had Lukic as examples. What they were doing, they were all coming in narrowly. So the midfield, of course, it was going to be overrun because the midfield of Fulham had Berg and Lukic, King dropping in, Castagna and Iwobi coming into that space. So you essentially had not 5 midfielders, but you had 5 players in the area. Unless you've got maybe one of the best 3-man midfields in the world, you're going to struggle and you're going to be overrun. So yes, that was a tactic and it really worked well. And there's another problem with the midfield I'm going to get onto in a minute. We don't have the players with the athleticism, press resistance ability and passing to cope with that. We're all aware of it. But we can't then forget the knock-on effect that had. Absolutely no width in the play. And what I mean by that is we got the ball out to the wide areas. Dorgu started well, then didn't want to beat his man. Ahmad today decided to keep coming back inside rather than attacking his fullback. And I'm consistent with my message on this. I used to get annoyed at Jadon Sancho for doing it. I'm going to run. Oh, no, I'm going to pass it back. Have a go. Have a go at your fullback. It doesn't matter if you lose the first duel, the second duel, the third duel. I don't care if your dribble succession rate in a game is 10%. Maybe on that 10th attempt, you beat your man and create a goal-scoring opportunity. The space was out wide, and Man United's goal came from it. We switch the ball early out to Delo. We get the ball into the box from a wide position. We get a corner. We score from the corner. The irony of that goal as well, by the way, it was probably our worst attempt on goal in the game because it was going wide. I'm going to get onto our goal and the penalty in a moment. Don't worry, I haven't forgot. And it actually ended up going in. Out of all of our shots, the worst one of the day goes in. You couldn't write it. And then what you saw is United become a little bit lackadaisical, really, really poor. In fact, I think the word I used in the group chat was wankers. Do you remember that scene from the Tom Hardy film about the Cray twins? I think it's called Legends, where he's walking out the pub angry and he goes, wankers. That was wankers. That's how I felt. That goal had so many problems with it. Initially, I looked at it and I blamed the low and I blamed the lit. And they still take accountability. We clear the ball well. Delo control the ball. We got an opportunity to counter-attack, but he has this dodgy, complacent, nonchalant first touch, loses the ball. Awful. Then De Ligt, for me, shouldn't be letting that ball pass him. I think he can get a touch on that, and he didn't. And then Bruno Fernandes, not going with Smith Rowe, the runner. Those three, what you'll get, depending on people's agendas and which players they hate, they'll probably hyper-focus on one more than the other. But for me, I looked at all three of them, atrocious. Bruno, stay with your runner. De Ligt, don't take a chance. If in doubt, out, clear the ball. And Delo, we're not 4-0 fucking up, mate. We're not 4-0 in the lead. Take a proper touch, play the ball off. Let's go and counter. Because I think if we get the second goal in that stage of the game, when Fulham really put the pressure on us, I think we then see it out. And finally, the last issue with our midfield is I've been listening to what everybody's been saying because I'm always open-minded to change. And I'm going to defend Bruno Fernandes in one instance and I'll criticize him in the other, but hear me out. Don't lose your minds. Just be grown-ups. I don't mind him stepping out of his central midfield role when we're attacking. You need him to do that. You need him to be near the edge of the box. Can't sit in that hole while we're trying to attack. But what I noticed in the second half, and he didn't do it as much in the first. In fact, there were 3 or 4 times where we pressed in the first half where he's pressing the goalkeeper. And then I see him stop as the ball's getting moved out wide because he realizes I'm going to leave a hole and he drops back into it. And I actually saw him orchestrating the press, and our press in the first half, by and large, was very good. In the second half, though, and I know it comes from a desperation to win, but he becomes ill-disciplined and he chases the ball. It's like my dog. It's like if I get a tennis ball out now, my dog Rocky, oh, will you? Throw it. That's how I think my dog speaks, right? And that's Bruno. He's like a dog who's seen a tennis ball and he's got to go for it. Where actually, if he'd have sat in and been more disciplined, I don't know if we concede that goal. When it was him and Mount, what was crazy, I didn't like it on paper, but they were both sitting a little bit more and they made it hard. I know why we brought Ugarte on, but I think what happens is Bruno, when it was Mount, went, I can't run off because Mount ain't a DM. We've got to help each other, but it gave us balance. Ugarte comes on and he's like, right, I'm going to sprint now. No, Bruno, sit the fuck in. Awful decision-making from him in relation to that. But as I say, by and large, just not good enough. Just not good enough at all. I thought new signing wise, because I ask everybody else about them. I'll give you my thoughts. I thought Cunha started brilliantly but faded. I thought Mbuemo was handled very, very well today by Bassi for large parts of the game. Yes, he gets the assist, but overall, I'm not just going to take that assist and go brilliant. I spoke about Noni Madueke yesterday, and it triggered a lot of people because they want to say shit. He was a constant threat, even though things didn't come off for him, but he kept on trying. That's a better performance than what I saw from Mbuemo today, who, yes, he got an assist, and on paper, his stats will look better, but I wanted to see more. I wanted to see him drive at players. We saw him do that against Arsenal last week, and he was excellent today. And I get a feeling the team started to feel nervous. The longer the game went on, the less likely I felt we were to score. There was almost this element of, look, we've got a point. Let's get out of here. Let's live to fight another day. Some will like that. I won't. I think if you do that too much in a season, you'll draw a lot of games. But actually, of the balance of probability, you probably end up with more points if you went for it. You might lose 2 or 3 of those games, but you might win 2 or 3 of them as well. And your points total is probably going to be higher because you gain 2 points for each of those wins. You only lose 1 point if that draw turns into a defeat. But overall, look, there are some positives from this in that first half that I want to see more of. Our press, our one-touch football was excellent. But those 3 big areas for me, it's the midfield discipline when we're under the cosh, and we will be at times this season. This is the Premier League. If Bruno's there, he's got to sit. And if he isn't sitting, our manager has got to take him off. And I think he should have taken him off today, 70 minutes in, because he wasn't staying disciplined. Mainu should have come on, sit in that hole, distribute the ball, sit there with Ugarte. The pacey players up front will catch him on the break because there were opportunities for it. The goalkeeper, listen, Lemaines, go get it done tonight. I'm talking, honestly, straight away. Get in an aeroplane, Sir Jim. Get in an aeroplane, Jason. Fly to Belgium. Get it done. Flying back. Say, thank you, good night, God bless, Bayindir. See you in a bit. Onana, bon voyage! My old China plate. You ain't it. You ain't it. And I don't know how he works on this other than doing goal-scoring drills. We've got to start scoring some goals because everything else I've said about our midfield stands and our defending from set pieces and our goalkeeping stands. But you know, the biggest issue here, and it was last season's biggest issue, we're not scoring the goals. And I'm still confident that Cunha and Mbuemo and Šeško will find those goals as the season develops. But I have to keep it 100%. There is a genuine chance because there's a genuine chance because confidence plays a massive, massive role in football. But if they go another game without scoring and another game without scoring and another game without scoring, they're going to start snatching at more and more chances. And it was our biggest hindrance last year. In so many games when we are on top, we're not scoring, and goals do change games. You look at Arsenal Leeds yesterday, quite a scrappy affair. Score a goal from a set piece, Saka with a thunderbolt, put some 2-0 up, and it was all she wrote. And for me today, Cunha scores one of those two early chances. If we then see the game, we then take another chance early in the second half. If we're able to score those goals, these games will be different. And I know it's a cliche, but a lot of cliches are cliches because they're fucking true. Score these early chances. Doesn't mean everything I've just said about the midfield I stand on. Bruno ill-disciplined, presses when he shouldn't. The goalkeeper, listen, the man makes everybody nervous. But look, I want your thoughts, I want your feelings, I want your opinions in the comment section below. On the penalty, and I want to mention this before I bring the panel out. On the penalty, it is a judo throw, but it does happen on every corner. The only difference here is Bassey's a lot stronger than Mason Mount. And I wouldn't, when it was first given, obviously I was happy. I knew the penalty would be missed, by the way. The amount of times in my life I've seen those controversial penalties given and they're missed. And I don't know whether I'm not defending Bruno, he should have scored. Sometimes it's a subconscious thing. I always remember a very famous one when Robbie Fowler got fouled by David Seaman, but he didn't. And he was telling the referee, isn't a pen, he didn't touch me. Referee still gave the penalty. Fowler steps up and he missed it. I've seen a lot like that where people go, justice. We all do it, right? We all go, justice. And I felt a bit like that for Fulham. But did you notice the energy switch? Did you see the energy switch online? In my group chat, it did. David and everybody were like, not a pen, not a pen, not a pen. The game's dead, not a pen, not a pen. Happens on every corner. Our goal goes in with a little nudge in the back with two hands. Got to be disallowed. You're not allowed to push in the back. Are United fans going to keep the same energy? And I'm sitting there like, yeah, they're both not fouls. I can see why they both could be, but they're allowed to happen in every single penalty box on 99.9% of corners and free kicks. It's ridiculous they decided today to give that as a penalty. Yes, it looks a little bad because it is like a judo hip throw, but it's only because Mason Mount's a lightweight compared to Bassey. If Bassey tried doing that to Mbuemo, he wouldn't have been able to throw him in the air like that. And you actually, for me, you can't start giving fouls because of the size difference in players. If Lenny Yoro they're on the same team. If Van Dijk can smash into Lenny Yoro and win the ball, but leave one on him and it's not a foul, just because Ahmad's tiny in comparison doesn't mean that exact same tackle shouldn't be allowed in football, as much as I want my players corrected. So wasn't a penalty. There is a justice element that it was missed, or that was a horrendous penalty by Bruno Fernandes. I'm not buying this bullshit the ref put him off. Keep your head, mate. Keep your head, because although we didn't deserve it, listen, how many points get picked up each year when teams get decisions that don't go their way? You still got to be professional and clinical. Our goal, it's not a foul. It's not a foul. Again, the same people saying it is a foul were saying that Bayindir has got to be stronger last week. So I'm not having the duplicity. I'm keeping the energy 100. A terrible decision to award that penalty, in my personal opinion. Let's go to some of these super chats before I bring my panel out. We've got Lou and David. We've got Aiden and Seb all waiting very nicely backstage. If you haven't hit the like button yet, by the way, get that done, please. I am says it's definitely a foul. Listen, but you're not understanding what I'm saying. I can see why Mason Mount, it is a foul on Mason Mount. My problem is there's wrestling on every corner. You can't pick and choose when you start giving them. I'm just going to keep my energy 100%. Because you'll probably go through 3 or 4 weeks now when nothing's given, and then they'll decide to do it again. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen. Bruno in midfield is absolutely killing us. It is when we press. You're absolutely right. Well, when he presses and the rest of us stand still. It's fine in the attack because that's what he's good at doing. But you saw it in the second half. Keeps running out. Like I said, it's like a dog chasing the tennis ball when everybody else is sitting. The only time he didn't is when him and Mount were in there. And it was our best spell of the second half, although it wasn't very fucking good at all. He has got to stop doing it. If he isn't, the manager's got to step up and do something, because he keeps picking him. Needs to be sacked. This is a coaching problem. Look, many people think it is a coaching problem. I think the picking of Bayindir is a coaching problem. I think not stopping Bruno from pressing like that by continuing to put him in midfield is a coaching or selection issue. But I don't think it's a coaching issue where in the last two games, we've created an abundance of gilt-edged chances. Now players have missed it. I quote Pep and I quote Fergie, the two greatest managers of my lifetime, when they both say the same thing. They coach their teams to get the ball to the edge of the box. What happens there is down to the players. So when you're creating those chances and missing them, you could argue again it's more selection, but I get why some people would want him sacked. I understand the call for it. Munez is a better United striker than Tesco and Cunha. Listen, Šeško did nothing wrong today. Came on, held the ball up well, brought players into the game. Where's the chances? Again, there was a great bit of hold-up play from him. 3 players around him, ends up working the ball through brilliantly to Bruno, and he was pulled back. That element of Šeško's game, if you're someone who's going to say that was bad today, for me, I'm going to say you've got an agenda or you don't understand football. His general play was fine. Højlund weren't doing that for us last year. But when we're getting the ball into those wide areas, did we put the ball across the 6-yard box for him? Did we put him through clean on goal? Did we have the approach play where he got a decent long shot where he had an opportunity with space to shoot from distance? No. And that's the job of the midfield and the wide players. That is their job to help facilitate those goals. Did we put him in a position like Gyökeres got yesterday where he can run at a player one-on-one? No. He actually went to make a run down the channel, and instead of Dorgu playing it into him, he played it backwards. Like I've said 10 minutes ago, our wide players today were a bigger issue in our attack than our midfield. The midfield was being stifled, yes. But that means there's space on the wings. We're putting out wide, but all our wingers and fullbacks, we're just playing the ball back. Not run it. The one time Dorgu run at his fullback, we nearly hit the post. Didn't do it enough. Weak. Do you think signing a striker will help United? They didn't seem to have one on the pitch today. Obviously, I understand the banter in that. I would have started Šeško. I don't think not having a house yet is a good enough excuse. I think, again, if we start the game with a striker, this is where you criticize. This is where I'm criticizing the manager. I think we score some of those early chances. Yes, Mount helped to create them, but I don't think Mount in his position was doing anything that Cunha couldn't do. One game down, 6 to go. You said 11 points from the first 7. I said 4. But okay, Burnley next. Should be able to get 4 points from then. Trust the process. Well, look, it's one of those things. Some people, I've got to, in the sense of even if we sack the manager, we shouldn't undo what we've been building. If Man United sack Amorim tomorrow, like rivals want and like some Man United fans want, and then we go in a brand new direction again, and we go, right, we're going back to 4-3-3, we're going to go 4-2-3-1, we might as well just burn the club down. We keep going in new directions. Even if the manager ain't good enough, we have to bring someone in that looks at what we've been buying player-wise and can get we can't start again. So whether you want to use the phrase trust the process, which I know what people get upset by or not, we have to. If we go back to the drawing board and start again, we are doomed. How do I know this? I've got 12 years. What I have compared to all your arguments is I've got 13 years of proof that makes you fail. You've got no proof that a broken club that keeps changing direction every 18 months will ever get them back on track. So how many times have I asked this, Ola, on every stream for 5 years? Show me the empirical evidence of a team our size that's been broken for over a decade, fucked, that keeps changing direction, systems, style, profiles every 18 months to 2 years, that has ever got back to the top and sustained it. You won't be able to find one. So therefore, we have to not just trust it, we have to ask for a process to be in place. Doesn't mean you can't change manager, though. You got Šeško, but no meal deal. We failed to control midfield again. Is Bruno Fernandes unsettled, or was it just an uncharacteristic miss? Look, I wouldn't say linked to Saudi made him miss the penalty. He got distracted by the ref bumping into him. Instead of his usual penalty where he sends a goalkeeper, he blasted it and he messed up. He made a massive mistake for that, and he should be heavily, heavily criticised. There's no doubt. United's 200 million attack looks absolutely dead as fuck, mate. Yeah, should have scored quite a few goals today. The finishing's well off. Hale End link up and Arsenal aren't even playing. What's your true opinion on Cunha and Mbuemo and Tesco? They ain't enough, to be honest. I'll be real. I don't see them doing much at United. They could have won Fulham 4-2. Listen, if you think that the finishing isn't going to get better, so if you think that Cunha and Mbuemo and Šeško are going to keep missing the chances they've had in the last few games, then I make you right. If between them they keep creating this abundance of chances, I believe they will score. But you guys know that I'm not going to change my opinion on them after two games. We know how good they are. But again, anybody that thought the club was fixed after signing them is a moron, and I can't help you with that. Man United's midfield is a problem. So easy for Fulham to contain them and keep United to long balls, outnumbered all game. I mean, look, it's quite easy to contain most midfields in the Premier League if you stick 5 people in the middle and make it narrow. This is where United fans that understand the game I look at Ahmad and I look at Dorgu today. They were a massive problem. They had the space to run into. There was a moment the commentator even said it. We pass the ball around. It gets to Ahmad. We know how skillful he is, how fast he is. You've got Mbuemo there to work with. I think it was even Neville or the other guy said, look at the space for him to run into. Took 4 or 5 little jog steps forward, then pass the ball backwards. Attack your man. Run into the space. So yes, the midfield was overrun, but I'm not going to sit here. I've criticized it. I am not going to sit here and let every other player off because, I get to criticize Bruno. I have. But let us not sit here and pretend other players weren't accountable today for just not fucking attacking. Unforgivable to not attack. That Ugarte sub was cowardice move from Amorim. Interesting take. United played into Fulham's hands by playing a midfield versus wingers. Interesting. Bad game for Bruno. Mediocre game for United. Clear 8th. Take that right now. They ruined Yoro's best performance in a United kit. Yeah, it was very good today, Yoro, to be fair. We tried to cheat with that Yoro push and didn't win. You're not a United fan. You've got a picture of one of our players looking fat in your thing. You're a fake United fan. Dorgu issue. I've seen he spends too much time on the ground. Until they cut that out, United will struggle. A few games I've seen him. He's always drawing fouls. If wants to be top player, you've got to be more ruthless. Look, listen, Dorgu had a bad game today, but he was excellent in the last couple of matches. So again, I'm going to criticize today. The viewers, the panel that come on can say what they want. I'm not making any overarching opinions on him because pre-season he was excellent. He was brilliant against Arsenal, but today he was poor and I'll criticize it. Fun fact, Thomas Frank to win back-to-back Premier League games before Amorim after only 2 games compared to Amorim's 40. Look, it's a terrible stat. And for me, Amorim deserves criticism today. There's absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. Tell me why Bruno went high instead of low. No idea, mate. Man United were just okay, but not like last week. Bruno was poor. And this is the thing for me. I mean, the Man United fans kicking off last week because we didn't win, they can't be as angry today because it's a point. But I bet they are. This is when you'll see the energy change from people. It's always just about winning. And I understand that, but don't bring performance into it because it was better than if you're going to compare it to last week, where I'm more angry with a point today than I was with a defeat last week. Because if we replicated that Arsenal performance today, we win the match. And we didn't. And that's the issue. If we don't replicate those performances on a consistent basis, we won't win enough games. Bayindir, the only player to create a big chance. That just can't be true. But maybe statistically it is, but when you use your eyes, we had loads. Smith Rowe heard you call him fat. Played well though. Yeah, well, he's a bit overweight. No, not overweight. He's one of those players that looks a bit overweight, is what I said. PGMLO specified on the rules specifically before the season started, so had to apply it controversially. Will stop after the second international break. Yeah, they always do that. They're a disgrace to PGMOL. It'll get called out today, though, because United, we didn't benefit from it, but we got a result. So that's a good thing. Amorim nearly threw the game away by bringing on Šeško for Casemiro, in my opinion. By the way, didn't say Safi that you would smash Fulham. I don't think I used the word smash. I thought we could score 2 or 3 goals. We did everything I thought we would. We just didn't bury the chances. So, and then we let the game fall away from us. We had the opportunities. We should have been 2-0 up before they even had a sniff at our goal. Should have been. And the game would have been different. So I've criticized it. But yeah, predictions go that way, don't they? Good evening, Terry. Terry and everyone. My donation is for my 50th birthday to the Football Terrace. Well, Dinesh, thank you very much for the donation. It means a great deal to us here. And I'm going to take that and buy some After Sun because I should have put some sun lotion on today before being outside. And now I'm burnt as fuck, mate. Thank you, though. And happy 50th, my friend. Every Premier League club has learnt to play better in midfield thanks to Guardiola, except Man United. You will get outrun in midfield with the discipline that Bruno has. Shoulder United fans have answered for 100% of their goals through set pieces. Should United... Oh, okay, right, because you guys score. Yeah. When Maguire and Lee scored the winner, I did nearly laugh. All the United fans kicking off in our group chat yesterday again. Set piece FC to Arsenal. That's why I don't call it out, because I'm going to celebrate it when I win. 29 games, 28 points. What is the direction? The results ain't there. The results ain't there right now. It ain't good enough. And it's been called out. You tell me. Swapping out 2 centre-backs was wild when they were trying to win. Yeah, I didn't understand it. That being said, Maguire scores a header. You go genius move. That for me was one of the only decisions that I didn't look at and think was crazy. I get not throwing a striker on because you're going to need a defender to defend. But yeah, a little strange. I get it. Did you see some guys are not running at the end? No, be specific for me, please. Terry, imagine you had Dowman there versus, I think you mean Ahmed. Ahmed. Listen, Ahmed, you wrote Ahmed. That's why I said it. Ahmed normally takes his players on. I don't know why he didn't try today. You know, we can call out the midfield. We can call out Bayindir, and we will. But we've got to talk about the players that didn't do what they're good at. People won't, though. I'm appalled by the IQ of the chat right now. Do you only know golf? Listen to Terry and learn something. Bruno lacks discipline, though. Sesko will be good. I appreciate that. Look, you get this with socials. A lot of things are superficial, and I get it. But you also get this element of when people get a chance to dunk on something they hate, that's their big focus. And I get it. The midfield is going to get called out today by the panel. I'm sure of it. I know it will. But we cannot ignore the other problems that are out there. You know, we were talking in our group chat about defending set pieces. I'm not a big fan of the zonal stuff. I prefer man-to-man. But I also feel that we're overanalyzing it. And I mean it in the sense of if Ray is in goal for us today, all of those corners he's just catching. And do you know what the rest of us are doing? We're not focusing on our set pieces. We're going, great, easy. And we're focusing elsewhere. And this is what, equally like today, Cunha scores his chances and we win this game. We'd have a very different view of the match. And I think that sometimes we all do. I do it. I might be overanalyzing, but I do think what's really important is not just looking at the midfield not working. When you've got space. So I always say this to Arsenal fans. So, Saka gets doubled up and tripled up on. Well, that means other players have got space. What are they doing? I can't ignore that. I just can't. 1-1 versus Fulham, subbed in 2 centre-backs. Explain the mentality of the manager. My personal view is I think he tried to throw in a bit more hype for some corners towards the end. I don't think it's to see out the game because you're bringing on like for like. If he would have taken off Cunha and Mbuemo and brought them on, then yes. But I don't know if that's a mentality thing. I don't know what it was. Mainu should have been on instead of Ugarte. I think Mainu and Ugarte both should have come on the pitch. Once Cass got that booking, he's always susceptible when he's being overrun. I would have brought both of them onto the football pitch and then just said to them, look, we're 1-0 up, sit, win the ball back, pass it into the channels, which we know had space because of the way they play narrow. They play narrow Fulham and then they kind of, like a mushroom cloud, they puff out at the end. So there's all this space to play in. Sit there, get the ball, whip it out to them. Bad managerial decision, in my personal view. Got 99 problems, but Amorim isn't one of them, is what Ola says here. He certainly was today. Listen, do me a big favor and hit the like button if you haven't done so already. I'm going to shout out our title sponsors again at NordVPN. You must be signed up because if you're not, I gave the analogy earlier. I'm going to do it again. If you're not using a VPN when you're on the internet and you've got to use Nord because they are quite literally the best in the world, it's like having Bayindir in goal. It's fucking dodgy, mate. Your data's going to be high. By the way, if you ever get any text messages, just if you're listening, do I need one? If you get any weird texts from companies you've never worked with, if you get any weird emails, ask, saying that there's a prince that needs to borrow some money. If you get emails from companies that say your products arrived or your account has been suspended, and you're sitting there going, oh, I didn't know I had that. That's because your data has been harvested by fraudsters. That's because you're not using a VPN and you're not protecting yourself. So get signed up now. You can scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in our description or in our live chat. I can give you 4 months additional free, but check it out. I use it all the time. The great thing is the geolocations. So I do a lot of if I want to watch a movie, I see where it's streaming. Often it ain't streaming for free in the UK, but you start changing there's a website I think called Just Watch, and you can change the country to see if it's streaming there. And you go, oh, it's streaming in Canada on Netflix. So you change your geolocation, go into your Netflix, and the movie's available. So I use it for a lot of that stuff. Premier League football as well, by the way. Free PN game, all the games, $3.99 a month on Satanta Sport. I know it doesn't work for all of you, but it bloody works for me. But get yourself signed up to NordVPN now, an absolute game changer. And for you youngsters as well, especially the ones at home, I know like you, whatever you want to do on the internet is your business, especially if you're over the age of 18. But if you're not the bill payer, you do, even if you go on incognito, you do know that the bill payer can see every website you go on. You only have to request it from your internet provider. And if you don't use a VPN, the bill payer can see every website you go on. Just putting it out there, young men. It costs about the same as a cup of coffee per month. Protect yourself from fraudsters, but you protect yourself from that awkward conversation from your mum and dad. Protect yourself. Trust me. Trust me. But there we go. Terry, you're coping hard. I'm frustrated. Yeah, of course I am. It's what a weird thing. Terry's really angry. His team didn't win. Yeah, I am. I tell you who's coping, though. You are. That I'm not sitting here making excuses. I'm criticizing the things that are wrong. It's like, oh, we can't say. Why is he not doing a tie from AFTV? Well, because I'm just honest about it. But if we're really good next week, I'm going to praise it. I'm just not getting overly carried away because it's going to take a long time to fix this club. Even if we change manager, I'm not going to get overly carried away. It's going to take a long time to fix this football club. Hit that road to 40 points. Yes, 39 more needed. That's absolutely right. Time for the panel now, people. So I'm going to get my earphones on so that I'm ready to speak to everybody. And I'm going to remove some bits and pieces off my screen, which is needed. There we go. We're going to start bringing everybody out now. So we've got Lou, David, we've got Seb, we've got Positive Dan, Aiden, and Sonshine all on the show with us. I'm going to go straight to David on this. A poor result today, mate. What did you make of the performance, and why did we fade so much in that second half, in your opinion, brother?
Because it's the same shit, mate. Same shit all the time. This is why last year I could not get excited.
David on this. Sorry, someone's got the stream on. If you could just mute that for us, please. That'd be great. Oh, it was Positive Dan had it on. That's fine. Sorry, go on, David.
We're back on, yeah? This is why last week I could not get excited, mate, because we've always done okay against the bigger teams and put in a performance because we've got that little bit of pride left. Do you know what I mean? But this is where the test was. Against the Fulham, Craven Cottage, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. And to be fair, I'm going to try to start off positive. I saw the way we were playing, the way we started the game. And even though I looked at the lineup, and here he goes again with 7 midfielders. I know you're saying they're not 7 midfielders. As far as I'm concerned, if they're not an out-and-out striker, they're a midfielder, right? It was negative again in that sense. But listen, we were controlling the game. We were doing well. Mate, same shit again. We still got Bruno. I came on this show a few weeks back and had a discussion with you, Terry. And I said, Bruno runs around aimlessly. He just runs around aimlessly. You brought a heat map of Caicedo and say he does the same. My argument is that Bruno makes the wrong decisions all the time. And we're going to ruin a club legend playing him out of position. As far as I'm concerned, Bruno is a club legend, yeah? And us playing him out of position like this is going to just ruin his legacy at this club. It's shocking me. We're still throwing Maguire on to score goals for us. So tell me how things have changed. It's unbelievable. The positives are De Ligt. What a player. He looks like a different player from last season. He looks really, really solid. But that's the only positive I can find. That is honestly the only positive I can find. And I'm really, really worried, mate. I'm really, really worried. I feel like Cunha and Mbuemo, they are great signings on paper, but I don't think they change much for us. I honestly don't think they changed much for us. We ended up with Bruno and Mount in midfield. I mean, it was absolutely shocking. Set pieces, I don't want to go over this again, but it's a massive, massive problem. We don't zonal mark. We don't man mark. We ball watch. I don't know what it is we do. You do some research on it. It's called a hybrid system. Well, this hybrid system is not working. I know you're saying if Bayindir was better, he'd just come and claim that. But surely it's the manager's job to manage weaknesses. He can't just live and die by his system and his hybrid systems and all this system talk. If you have weaknesses, manage it. Fix it. Pick zonal. Pick man marking. Do something. Because we could have conceded 3 goals today on set pieces again. 28 games, 7 wins. It continues. I don't know how long I can handle this for, bruv. It breaks my heart. I get stressed out, bruv. It's not going to be long. I'm going to say it, and you lot are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to end it with this. Give it a few more weeks. If this continues, I'm going to come on this show and start shouting Southgate in. That's what I'm going to do. Right?
Look, I hear a lot of what you're saying. I think, look, we go back to that Bruno conversation. For me, or the way I interpreted it, or the way I heard it, and it's why I addressed right at the start of my show, you weren't quite backstage. I've listened to what people have said and made sure I'm focused on it a little bit more. I've seen people criticize him in and out of possession, and I think it's ridiculous. You can't sit in that role whilst you're trying to attack. You need to push up. If he passes the ball out to Dorgu and Dorgu loses it, and there's a hole where Bruno's pushed up in the attack, that is not where I'm going to criticize Bruno. Where I will criticize him, because I'd like to see if you agree with me or disagree with me on that, because the midfielder's got to push up in the attack and be near the edge of the box. That's what all midfielders have always got. I actually watched the game the other day, Man United versus Tottenham, when we came back from 2-0 down at Old Trafford. Michael Carrick was at DM and spent most of the second half on the edge of their box. So I can't suddenly go, Bruno's ill-disciplined for being in those positions when in the attack. Where I completely agree is it's not even, I think it's about how people express it. It's he presses at the wrong times, and he does it when he was in the 10 role. Doing it in central midfield, he creates a hole that doesn't need to be there, and I completely concur with that. The weirdest part is he didn't do it when him and Mount were in the double pivot. When him and Mount were in the double pivot, they sat there, and that was when we were probably less vulnerable for a 10-minute spell in that first half. But I completely agree with the ill-discipline element. I absolutely concur with that. On the attackers, you said you don't really think they're going to work. I mean, it's 2 games running now where they've both had very good opportunities to score for us and haven't been able to do it. How does the manager improve that element? Because it was another game where we probably should have been a couple of goals up before the half ended.
The reason I'm saying they won't improve it is because I still believe we're Moments FC. Cunha's what out of the 2 chances Cunha got today, one of them was Bayindir lobbing it forward and him taking it down like he was Berbatov, right? And he never slotted it. But that's, for me, a moment. Bayindir's hoofed it up. He's taken it down, Berbatov-esque, Matter-esque, and almost slotted it. It's a moment. I just don't feel like, until we fix our team and stop our team being Moments FC, and the way to fix that is addressing this midfield. Maybe the manager was sending a message today by putting Mount and Bruno in midfield before he put Ugarte on. Because surely, I mean, Casemiro must have some sort of grass fetish or something, because all I see him doing is rolling around, rubbing himself on the grass. All the time, Casemiro's on the floor. But surely that's where you sub Ugarte on. But he didn't. He puts Mount and Bruno in midfield. He must be sending a message to the board to say, I need a midfielder. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. And back to your question, I don't think these attackers are going to be any different to what Garnacho, Rashford, and all of these guys prior were offering if we do not fix our midfield.
I hear you on that. Lou, what did you make of David? David, really appreciate it, mate. Lou, what did you make of it today? We know it isn't the result we wanted. We wanted to win. A lot of people angry at the midfield performance. Not a lot of criticism of the wide players who didn't exploit the space they have. The big chances being missed again. What do you think let United down most today, Lou?
I think players like Ahmad that we generally rely on to show up. When they don't show up, you really notice it. And Ahmad was one I really, really noticed today. He's normally a very good player. He's quick, he's fast. And I know a lot of people don't like him playing in the deeper position. They prefer him a bit further up the pitch in the 10. But I think he's shown that he can play both roles. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a debate about which one is actually better. So he can play both roles. Bruno, I have been critical of Bruno. I have my own issues with Bruno. He's certainly not the type of captain that I would pick. However, I can generally see what he adds to the team. And definitely normally when he has a penalty, you do expect him to slot it away. So when Bruno's missing penalties, when Ahmad, who drives at players, takes them on, gets past them, isn't taking them on and isn't passing everything backwards, when you lose those things that you're normally relying on, and you've got a shaky keeper at the back, and you've still got a striker that's being introduced due to lack of pre-season, and I would imagine fitness levels at this point, you've so much change, you've so much new players, you've already got the shaky bits you had, and then the old reliables aren't turning up. So I think last week I said to you, look, football's a competitive sport. You're relying on the win. You want the win, you want the points, that's what matters. And at the moment, there's several teams there we're already 6 points behind, which doesn't sound like a lot 2 games in, but 6 points is a lot. And if it gets towards the middle or the end of the season and we're 6 and 10 points behind other teams that early, and you're trying to chase the pack, we're already outsiders to be anywhere near European spots. If we're throwing away points like this early into the season against teams like Fulham, it is going to be an issue. So while I thought the performance last week against Arsenal was good, what I was looking for today was points, and we didn't get them. But I think a lot of that is down to the factors we know about, but also the old reliables didn't turn up. And honestly, when Bruno missed that penalty, I was so mad. I think I didn't speak in the group chat for like the whole first half. It was so mad. I was like, if I actually speak, I'm going to start sounding like David. So I need to calm myself down. I need to think of some positives. But honestly, at this point, I'm just like, I'm not stressed about Sesko because, like I said, he came in so late. You know, he didn't have a full pre-season like the others. And, you know, I'm not super stressed about that just yet. But I think when you have Mason Mount and Bruno holding your midfield, and then when they get through your midfield and you get to the goal and it's Bayindir, I mean, what did we think was going to happen? I was hoping for a win, but I mean, really, when you think about it. Now, just to be a little bit more positive than David, because I think we might need a little bit at the minute, I do think the forwards are going to be successful. I think Cunha has shown that he is an absolute baller. I think Mbuemo is kind of flying under the radar a wee bit. Like he's working so hard. Now he disappeared a little bit into the second half there, but he is working so hard. He's working, he's creating the chances, he's moving forward. He's really, really good. And I think he's going to have, again, more to give. And I do think Amram is probably doing him up a fitness plan like he had to do with the likes of a Casemiro and some of the other players that we had. And I think when we see that take effect, we're going to see even more from him. But again, those players are starting to gel, and then they'll need to gel with Sesko when he's up to, you know, speed and able to start matches as well. But I do think the forward line, because that was really what we were worried about last year, was scoring goals. And I do think with a little bit more time, Amram is going to be able to get us scoring more goals. But honestly, at the start of the window, I think the very, very first call-in I ever did on the Football Terrace was at the very, very start of the window. And I said, we need a keeper and we need a striker. And today we started with no new keeper and our new striker wasn't on the pitch. So the two things I said we needed, we didn't have today. So I can't then expect us to be drastically different. I do think there are improvements. I disagree with David totally. I do think there have been improvements. I don't think there's been enough improvement, but I do think the rest of that improvement is going to follow. So while I agree with some of David's points, I'm looking upwards rather than downwards, I think.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Like there are things that have improved. I'm just so gutted today. It's not taking those chances. I see your comment in the group chat, Dan. Someone predicted 3-1, and I stand on it because I think if we score those early chances, the game's different. I think if we score the chances we had early against Arsenal, the game's different. And I said it so much last year. Goals change. Your game yesterday was exactly that. You don't score those 2 goals at the end of the first half. I think your whole second half is different. The anxiety grows, the pressure grows. Arsenal are a better team than Manchester United, no doubt. But it's 2 games running, and that's my biggest fear. I see the headline on the United stand, same old issues, and I do agree with them. That's why I agree with a lot of what David has said today. So many issues, and what we actually need, though, the only thing I kind of disagree on, I suppose, is we need the moments to come off. Well, I don't even think we are a moments team at the minute. We're not taking those chances. Like Fulham today, a lot of their XG A lot of their opportunities came from Bayindir not capitalizing on those opportunities. They got one real big chance where they were properly in front of goal. Smith Rowe, bang, they buried it. We've been missing those kind of chances. I know it's only 2 games all season, and we have to improve on that. So I totally agree with you there, Lou. I'm going to go to a rival here. I'm going to go to a rival. Seb, what are you saying, mate? What did you make of it today? Watching with no emotion, what did you make of it, brother?
I think the midfield stuff's being a bit overstated. I think it's pretty easy just to go, we've only got 2 midfielders getting overrun. I think the first half was pretty decent. There was some patterns emerging there. It looked dangerous. I thought Man United should have probably scored. I think the penalty and the miss did unnerve you a little bit. But then I think in the second half, it was just Fulham grew into the game massively. The crowd got behind them. They were winning those duels in the midfield. They were getting more forward, and it looked just like Man United shrunk into themselves. They got nervous, and I think the biggest problem there was the mentality. I think there needed to be a bit of a pick me up. It's easy for these United players to get up. They did it last season. They get up against Arsenal. They're trying. They're giving their 100% because they're at home against Arsenal. It's easy, but when you're away to sides like Fulham, I think there still needs to be a bit more intensity. It's like when Fulham is stepping up, just falling back into your shells a bit. I think once the players start getting used to, especially the new signings, get used to start playing with each other, it will get better. But Amorim really needs to kind of drill this in, especially at half time, because I think United come out in the second half to look worse when Amorim should be speaking about half time and pumping them up, if anything. But I did think it was a pretty poor display in the second half. There wasn't really much going on there. The VAR decisions, I think they can go either way. I don't think they're that controversial. I think people are going a bit over the top. If they were given, I don't really care. If they weren't, I can see why not.
Yeah,
but,
you saw that with the penalty in our group chats. That were every one of the group chats I'm in. It was no way that a penalty. The game's gone soft, and then for our goal, it was 100% should be disallowed. I'm looking at it going, the bias stinks there, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's just like it's so 50-50, and it's just like it's even though he's got 2 hands on him, it's not a big shove. He's pushed a big guy over. He's got over pretty easily. But I just think it's more of a mentality thing in that second, because you did see against Arsenal, these players have it in them to keep running, create good chances, get some good passing going. It was just they just shrunk today, really. And these are the games that are important for Man United not to do that, because it's easy for them to get up for the big games. But I just think a bit more improvement on a training ground, get a striker, start playing Šeško a bit more, so you have a bit of a target man up top. But the midfield's an issue, but I think everyone knew that coming in, playing against a team like Fulham who pack out that midfield. I think everyone knew it was going to be an issue anyway, so it wasn't really a particular surprise. But I do think there's some positives you can take from it, but second half wasn't really good enough.
Sonshine, how about yourself? Obviously, I know you're more of a results man than a performance man, but another game where United just didn't take their chances and faded.
4 seasons running now, Terry. I'll repeat the exact same statement every single time. You can change profiles, you can change manager, you can change systems. Create as many chances as you want. But if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, it makes no point. You're going to call the manager a failure. Standard procedure. Happens every single season, every single manager. 3-4-3, 4-3-3, 4-4-2. But you don't bag your chances. What is the point? What is the point? So respectfully, because we don't bag our chances, we then allow other teams to then get involved. We give them confidence. We start to strengthen ourselves. So because I think there's some feedback somewhere, I don't know. But because we strengthen ourselves, we then open the door for them to get confident, for them to take little chances. And then individual mistakes keep happening. It's the same thing over and over again for majority of our games that we lose. So you can talk to me about great performances. Arsenal, we had 22 shots. Last time we had 22 shots against Arsenal was when we won 8-2. So if we had that same team, and if we had that same team when we won 8-2, you're going to tell me we don't beat that Arsenal last week, and everyone's feeling all positive and happy for today. Bagging your goals confirms whether the system works or not in this day and age, sadly. Because again, for me, I'm looking at Amorim going, okay, I can see what you're doing. I can see the style of football. I can see the play. I can see the difference from last season. You're clearly, evidently making enough chances. Yes, you're going to have moments where you're going to create chances that are not from the style or the system that you're playing. You're going to have individual brilliance. You're going to have one-off moments. You're going to have Bruno with a beautiful pass, or for example, Bayindir today. That's going to happen. That's normal. That's very normal. That's football. Otherwise, we're asking to watch robots play football, because that's not the sport that we seemingly enjoy. So you can look at all the factors, but for me, it's the individual errors and mistakes. And to be fair, Bruno's even though you can say bumped into the referee and took out his rhythm, you can say all of that stuff. He should still be burying that, so he needs to hold smoke. You can look at Cunha and say, "Oh, he's new." No. You're brought to bad goals, mate. 4 seasons I've been waiting for clinical finishers. Give me clinical ballers up front. Because if we go 2-0 up, 3-0 up, even when they score it's 3-1, we don't take in that level of pressure. And as we keep saying, this squad is so fragile when they're under pressure. So what they will do, no matter the manager, they'll give all their effort, they'll stick to the system, will do incredible stuff, create chances, but we won't score. And then what they'll start to do is start to doubt themselves. They'll start to make backwards passes rather than go forward. You'll get Ahmad who will all of a sudden want to run at plays, but then be a little bit more preservative. You'll get Bruno who picks up the ball and then, won't make that extra little pass that he normally makes over the top. We'll start getting decisions like that because we're under pressure. That's what happens. It's elite football, it's elite sports. What happens? People very, very rarely talk about the emotion of a game and how it affects and impacts decision making on a pitch. When you're full confidence, you're in full flow. When you overthink some things, you start to regress. We keep doing it, no matter the manager, no matter the system, no matter the quality of players. Amorim needs to hold smoke today. Ahmad looked poor today. Obviously, he's my star, but been raving about him, but absolutely needs to hold smoke. Bruno, again, just does not look 100%. I criticised him for the Arsenal goal because up until that moment when he was in the box and he just got over complacent and then gave the corner away. We're not good. This is the difference between having a mentality switched on and focused to having the situations that we're in right now where we are actually struggling to go and get results and wins. You need to go and get results along the way. The performance will come from the confidence of the wins. You could play, Terry, 40, 50 minutes of good football, go and win the game 3-2, 4-2, 3-1, whatever, right? Have some shaky moments, but you go, you know what? We got the win, and with some performance there, we can do a little bit better next time. You'd take that all day. But there's a lot of fans last season saying systems this, systems that. I want 90 minutes of great systems. And I'm saying, okay, well, how's that done for you, mate? Because if you were all about systems, if you're all about systems, and last week you should have been buzzing, you should have been clapping like you've won a trophy, because last week we battered at Arsenal. And we haven't seen that for a while, have we? So if that's your metric, then I expect you to be up there like gas. But the reality is, no, you want the win. It's a fact.
Can I go on a little bit of waffle, please? Here, a little bit, just 2 minutes. Just hear me out, guys.
I'll finish anyway, Mo. So do you think?
Hear me out, and I want every Man United fan to hear this out very clear. Okay, I think Amorim is a good coach. Today, I saw Amad Diallo and Cunha 2-on-1 on Sessegnon, and the ball never reached him. It was circulating to go back to the left side again. The ball would circle again, and I saw that situation, and I counted, and I had it on a note. 7 times in one half. Amad Diallo, like Iobi, would not track back, and the pass is there to have your wing back, which is because I support Inter and we play the same kind of system. I see that pass. It's right there. It's 2-on-1. Put Amad Diallo versus Sessegnon and Mbuemo on Bassi. Now you have an advantage, but that never happens. Man United changed the forward line. Man United changed the defenders in Delict and Euro. Luke Shaw hasn't played for a while. They changed the left back, they changed the right back. The only 2 players on that pitch is from the old system is Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. Regardless if you think Casemiro is good or Bruno is good or not, Manchester United currently, as a football club, as a team, is like a dentist. The dentist sometimes doesn't know where the problem is. So to do exclusions. My brother is a dentist, and sometimes they say, sometimes we don't know what is wrong. So we need to exclude things. And I'm being completely serious here. You have good forwards, you have a good center back, you have good wing backs, you have a good system, right? I see the passes I see the channels, I see where Mbuemo is going. Something is not clicking. And I think my man here, I don't know your name, like who was speaking before Sonshine, before Naji, he was talking about the mentality. And I think the only thing that is left for Manchester United is to change the 2 midfielders. Just bring 2 new guys. If it's Hackney Terry, I'm here for it, Terry. It doesn't matter. I'm being serious. It doesn't matter, bro. As good as Bruno Fernandes is, and I saw plenty of things that he does good today and plenty of things that he does bad. By the way, Bruno Fernandes does things for Man United that I don't think any midfielder at Man United can do. He collects, receives, collects, and sins again, and he keeps doing these things that allows Man United to progress. But sometimes the mentality is not there. I am being serious. Manchester United should today accept the bid and try something else. You tried an attacking manager, a defensive manager, a position-based manager, 4-3-3, 4-4-2. It doesn't matter, as Najee says. It doesn't matter. Something is not clicking. I'm watching Man United. I'm scratching my head. What is wrong? Like,
Mo, I think a lot of what you said, again, I think what everybody has said things that make sense, but what you
Terry,
stated,
I'm gonna have to shoot my friend.
yeah, cheers, Sunshine. Thank you, brother.
See you guys soon.
I think a lot of what you said, Mo, makes sense around it. We all think we know what the issue is, as in this will fix it, and we've all been guilty of that. What I've learned covering United, doing these shows for 12 years, is that the amount of times we address that thing that a group of us, sometimes I'll go, no, I don't think Ronaldo's the problem. Sometimes I've said, I don't think if we sell Pogba, we'll become a better team. I was certainly someone that said, I don't think getting rid of Rashford makes Man United wholly better. And for new people on the channel or people that have only just started watching, they'll say, oh, who said that? A lot of people quite vehemently. I don't think getting rid of Bruno in itself helps us. It is a collective of things because there's things he does that new guys might not do. I think what you said about the mentality is key. And I think what Sonshine said holds a lot of water. And people go, you can't do if, buts, and maybes in football. But that's ridiculous. You're doing it by going sack your manager and get someone better. What you're saying, if we have a better manager, we might win. See, the problem is you can't speak about football and not do if, buts, and maybes. But people pick and choose. A bit like stat people. You get those guys, and I'll watch all your faces when I say this. They go, don't give me stats. We use our eyes. And then when you get into a debate with them where they want to prove you wrong, the first thing they go to is stats. Dom did it last night in the group chat. All he ever speaks about.
I knew you would fucking say that.
No, it's true. It's true. Don is always eyes, my eyes. First thing he threw into the group chat when we were discussing Declan Rice and Enzo last night. First thing you did was stats. But wait, but the stats back my eye test. Well, I guarantee if I spend long enough online, I can find stats that go against your eye test. It just makes me laugh. And Don's my guy. I love him to bits. It's a little bit of fun between me and him. But the mentality has been my overarching view for a long time. And it's so hard to fix. It's so hard to fix because the damage, I don't think people realize the psychological damage that's been done to this squad, even if they've only been here a year or two. And I've given this example before, and I'll say it again, and I'm going to Aiden. It's go and do the deeper research into the monkeys in a cage experiment that was done 30, 40 years ago, where they put 10 monkeys in a cage, and every time they go up a certain ladder, they squirt them all with water. The monkeys hate it. They go mental. It got to a point where if any monkey went near those stairs, the others would grab him and beat him up. Every month, they took one monkey out and put a new one in. Went near them stairs, he got beaten up. To a point where there was no monkeys left in the cage that had ever been squirted with water. But they still hit anyone who went near the stairs because it becomes learned behavior. So what you hear a lot, and I know you'll hear this, Dave, and Aiden as Man United fans, Lou as a United fan, people say, oh, the squad needs heart surgery when, what's his name? Was it Ragnick said it? People go, but 80% of the team's changed. It is a brand new squad. Yes, but all the fears, all the worries, all the concerns, all the anxiety, it passes on. Like trauma in your family. A grandparent has trauma, they pass it on to their kids, they pass it on to their kids. It goes on for generations, and that is what's happened to Man United. Rivals don't want to hear it because all they ever want to hear is us shit on our players, shit on our manager, shit on our owners, and there are times where you have to do that. But for me, this is why I agree with, I think performance is a key. And consistency of performance is the key. But they're hard when we're not winning games. And it almost feels a little bit chicken and egg with Man United all the time. And that's why I don't think anyone said anything that is grossly wrong today about the club. But I also don't think there is just this one solution.
Can
David,
I ask Mo a quick question?
Go on.
Before I head off. Mo, you said you counted 7 times that pass was open. Before you said that, you said Amarim's a good coach. So if you counted 7 times, he must have counted it as well, no? He must have noticed it as well, no? So if this is if
he's not as good as me, but fine.
But you get okay, maybe he counted it 4 times. You counted it 7, he counted it 4. So why has he not said play this fucking pass? Do you see what I'm saying?
I actually don't know why, but I noticed today Mason Mount is better than Bruno Fernandes on the pitch today, and you're adding Ugarte, and I would think that you take out Bruno. I don't know, is Bruno, because Bruno's Portuguese and Amorim is Portuguese, I don't know, maybe I'm being serious, but there's some managers just like their players because they know how to communicate with them, and he is his voice on the pitch. That is not a dig at him or Bruno Fernandes. Sometimes that happens all the time. It happens even in our amateur teams. You know what I mean? Like here. And I don't know what it is, but maybe he cannot, for some reason, and I told Terry this months ago, back in January, when we spoke about Amorim changing the mentality of Manchester United, and I thought he is the guy. And I was screaming, like, if Amorim is able to change the mentality and able to tell people instruction and people, and I use one word, if he can keep Bruno in check, I think Man United will succeed, because I believe he's the catalyst of Manchester United as a squad. He's the captain, he's the catalyst, he's the one that touches the ball the most. You go check the stats. If people don't like stats, just go watch with your eyes. He's the one who progresses the ball and he gets on every single attack. It's as simple as that. So I don't think he can keep him in check. And that pass was open for Bruno many times. And that one of the other things that he screamed at De Ligt. De Ligt looked at Ahmad eye to eye, and Bruno was to his left, and he screamed, and I can tell because I played football, that De Ligt turned and passed him the ball again, because Bruno is the one who gave De Ligt the ball and he wanted it back. And Ahmad was right there. You know, that pass is very simple. You skip the other defender and you go to the wing back. But he went to Bruno again. That happened by De Ligt. That happened to Luke Shaw as well, who could have switched the play, but he chose to go to Bruno to his left again. I don't know what the problem is. As I said, it might be just a change.
I want to throw this up, but he did sub him very early in the second half. So I don't know what he said to him. We're not in the dressing room. So we can't speculate in either direction. But Ahmad was dragged off 5 minutes into the second half. That, for me, is that not at least an indicator that he's watched him not play the right passes, not a tackle fullback, and gone, you're coming off and bringing somebody else on?
I don't know. Ahmad was open. The people that didn't pass the ball was Shaw, De Ligt, Bruno, and Casemiro. They didn't pass him the ball, and it's just a clear for the full.
I saw Ahmad have the, but you said Ahmad had the ball, and then instead of working with Mbuemo 7 times, you just recycled it.
No, it's the other way. I don't think
he's saying they haven't picked them out. They
haven't picked them out.
Yeah, we didn't. I agree with that. We didn't switch the play enough, but I also saw Ahmad on a number of occasions have the ball in space and just not run at his fullback, and I think that's the reason why he was taken off. I think he was taken off because the manager's looking at it and saying, you're not getting the ball in. By the way, I thought Dorgu was very similar, and I totally agree with you. That was the space, and this is why I agree with you. We can look at the midfield and go, midfield needs to do better. We need better midfielders. I agree. But when a team plays narrow, that means there's space out wide. We all do this when we speak on Arsenal. When if Saka's got 3 men on him, that means somebody else is free on the pitch. That's such a fair claim. You can't just say, oh, we couldn't score today because Saka was being double teamed and triple teamed. Well, that means Odegaard and Martinelli must have had more space. So today, United crowded out in the middle. I then look at my wide players and I expect them to do more. But I just often think I criticize the midfield today, but what everybody wants to do is dunk on the area they hate the most or the player they hate the most. And I think this is why I said I don't think there's just one solution, because it's multiple things. And a comment here, this is my favorite comment of the day. It says, injuries, no excuses. Poor refs, no excuse. Generational trauma, yes. But we know this exists. Why do we talk about, I know we use there's a colloquial word we use for this in the Champions League. Begins with H. What is it? Heritage. We all turn around and go, why is it certain teams just manage to find a way? That's because finding a way is passed on through squads consistently. The fans know they've always got a chance in doing it, and it plays a part. People don't like the word trauma because they think it makes them look weak, but we all suffer with it. Why do you think Arsenal fans yesterday, when they were playing quite slow football, were all going mental in the group chats, mental online? Because they were going back to last season when they were moving the ball slowly and not scoring goals. It's a frustration. And this happens to the players on the pitch as well. Goals will change the games. Wins will change the games. And I do agree with Sonshine. If we sack the manager, I don't necessarily think another guy is just going to make it better. Why?
There's only one guy that will make it better. I promise you this.
Who's that?
It's someone with a big personality, someone like Antonio Conte. And I'm saying that short term. I'm never going to say long term.
Yeah.
For the next year, it's going to be okay.
Maybe in the short term, yeah, you're probably right, Antonio Conte. Aidan, we're going to go to Super Chats in a minute, but what did you make of today? Obviously, a lot of United fans angry and frustrated how we played and how we performed. Is it fair criticism or maybe a slight overreaction? What's your take, Aid?
I'm gonna head out, guys.
I think the manager has to take a lot of criticism today. Even though I like Amorim, but it's going to be the thing where he either succeeds or he dies on that hill. Is Bruno in midfield? Since he's come in, Bruno has been. He doesn't get subbed. He stays in that midfield and he doesn't do anything else. We saw it multiple times. We're defending in our own half. Bruno's still up on the halfway line. He's playing in that pivot, so he's got to drop back. Bruno midfield, we know it doesn't work. And if Amorim wants to stay in that area, he's got to get a Belieber in, which he's tried to do, but obviously Belieber is not possible with this transfer window. So we need to get a similar profile in, because we've seen that the goalkeeper is a problem. We're getting Lemens in, which I think Lemens will. I think Bayindir's a starting keeper right now for whatever reason. They're both terrible, but for whatever reason, he's starting goalkeeper. So I think when Lemens comes in, he will start over whoever's in goal. But it's the fact that Bruno is not suited to that midfield position. I said it in the group chat. At one point, we were playing Mount and Bruno in midfield in that pivot. This is the time where people realise that that we don't have the midfielders to play this system, and you only need 2 midfielders. But the fact that we know Bruno's not going to leave this season, I think because he said he wants one more season, regardless, he ain't leaving. So whatever happens, Bruno's staying at midfield. He's going to play there all season. But the fact of the matter is, I think David said it in the group chat earlier as well, we had 7 midfielders on, but we ain't creating chances for a striker.
But aren't you guys disappointed at all that Mainoo's not getting any minutes? Because I think Mainoo would at least bring some intensity and some running into that midfield. So he's a similar profile to Belieber in that way.
I'm disappointed with how many minutes Bruno's getting, because I think I know there's a lot of people like Bruno. I know you're a fan of him, Terry, and I know he's the captain, and normally the captain does play most matches. But see, to be honest with you, he's 31. Like, the fact that there's such a divide in the fan base about him means he's not a universally liked and considered to be a good player. We're having a rebuild. We're really making a change to the squad. We're getting rid of a lot of the poison, and I don't think Bruno's poison, but we're getting rid of a lot of the poison. We're bringing a lot of new players in. We are rebuilding. It's a completely new system. It's a new manager. It's a new facility. Everything's new. It's a new board. We are making big changes. This man is 31 and he is being shoehorned in, and he leaves the team unbalanced. When he plays, the team is not balanced, and that's why the likes of Mainoo isn't getting more minutes, because if Bruno plays, you have like 5 different players, but they have to play beside Bruno. So you've actually only got one spot for all of these different players. So to be honest, while I do think Bruno has some good traits and he does bring something to the team, I don't think it's enough anymore. I think what he brings is less than what we lose by having him. I think we would get more if he wasn't on the pitch all the time.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on when he's playing in that central midfield role. And
real quick.
Yeah, go on. Of course you can, Aidan.
So I mentioned it earlier, but in the chat. But Grealish today, for Everton's first goal, he did exactly what our wingers should have done: taking your man, cross it into the box. When did we see that? Especially when we had Sesko on. I don't think we put a cross into the box. There's one part where when Deleu's on the right hand side, he puts a left foot cross in when we've got no striker. As it happened last game as well. When we have Sesko up top, no one is putting a cross in the box. He's bloody 6'4", and no one's putting it up in the air for him. What's the point of having Sesko there if we're not playing to his strengths? It's ridiculous. And I think the reason Deleu came on for Amad Diallo was because it's easier for you overlap for Mbuemo if we have a natural right footer, because 2 left footers on the right hand side, it's not going to be good for crosses. I think Deleu was a right sub. A lot of people were mad that Amad is coming off. But we have to have those sort of crosses on the right hand side, because that's the way we're going to play with the system. We've seen it with Amorim so far, and the way that he was at Sporting, he puts crosses in the box to big striker up front. So really, that's a thing that we have to work on.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, to give you some stats on that. Sorry, crosses in open play, 14 from Man United today, and 33 from Fulham. A huge difference. And we dealt with most of their crosses, but their crosses were a problem, and you only need one to work. You only need 1 or 2 to work, and it's a difference. But football's a numbers game. You've got to put more in, and this is why I was talking about our wide players. That was where the space was today. Get it out there, cross it early. Our goal came from a corner where we got the ball out wide and crossed it pretty quickly. And we just didn't do that enough today. And now some will, again, it all depends on your disposition. Some will say coaching. But then I'm watching the manager scream at the players and go get the ball in the box sooner. And that's where it's again, if you don't like the manager, you're just going to say it's his system and his coaching. My issue with this and turning on the manager, because they'll be the Amorim out brigade will be out today because it's a day to make money, and they'll do that. But from my point of view, it's not about Amorim in or Amorim out. It's what's your solution. And if I start hearing solutions that are a completely different type of manager, then I can't listen to you. I can't. It's your view of wanting Amorim out might be right, but if your solution is wrong, you're not an issue. I'll give you an example. Don't all of us in whatever countries we live in, right, around the world, I'm talking to the whole audience, wouldn't we all like to see the elderly never pay a gas or electric bill again? We'd all like that, wouldn't we? No one would look at that as a government policy and go, that's terrible that the old age pensioners are going to get free gas and electric. It's never what you want to do. It's how you do it that people focus on. It's the solution. So it's how you're going to do it. Well, we're going to take, it's amazing, Terry, that you're going to give all the elderly people free energy during the winter months. Yeah, how are you going to do it? Well, we're pulling all the funding from primary schools. Suddenly everyone goes, hang on. You can't do that to the kids. And that's the issue with these debates. It's always got to get rid of the manager. What's the solution? That ain't my job. Well, I'm just bored of listening to you then, because I know why you don't want to give us a solution, because you know when you turn around and change it and want a new manager with a brand new system that needs completely different profiles, well, it's fouled 8 times already. Imagine that your solution being what's already fouled 8 times. It lessens your point. I'd rather stick with this manager failing than change for another one who's inevitably going to fail if we go in a new direction again. And that's my issue with a lot of these conversations. They're just a little bit basic and service level. But Seb, sorry, mate, back to you. Sorry.
Yeah,
Seb.
I think there's one bit that's getting a bit underrated here. I think the depth at 10 now that United have is actually quite big. You've got Mason Mount. Xerxes hasn't really played any minutes. Bruno is a 10. So I think to make yourselves more unpredictable, you can mix up each game. Lou was saying that Bruno doesn't need to play every minute. He doesn't need to. Sometimes you could play at the 10, maybe drop Mbuemo, depending on what opposition you're coming up against, because sometimes more pace will be needed. I think just using that depth, making yourselves more unpredictable, will be helpful. You've got so many players up there now that you might as well utilise the squad you have. A squad wins titles and trophies these days. It's not a starting 11, so I think you do need to start rotating a bit more. But I think you will, coming through the season, utilise a bit more profiles as well.
There's a few super chats here I want to jump into. First one says Man United will benefit from Glasner available next year. Listen, if the manager doesn't work out and we change, it has to be somebody. We've been coaching these guys to play 3 at the back, certain types of 10s, etc. I would be happy if he doesn't work out and we go to another manager that wants similar profile, similar system. I'm relaxed about that. If we go for a guy that's only ever played 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, I'm worrying, because it means you've spent however many hundreds of millions towards a squad that you're trying to build for this. The players, again, you've heard Rashford speak about it, whether people like him or not. 1 minute we're doing this, the next minute we're doing that. This type of management style, this type of training, this type of system. That consistent changing, you're never going to get the squad to buy into it long term. They might go, oh, great new coach, great session. But you keep any workforce in the world, if you keep changing the direction, the processes, the targets, the goals, the bonus structures, everybody starts to get frustrated. There has to be consistency to create great results. Sir Alex, Mourinho, Pep, to name a few, they were very strong mentally. It spreads into their players. That's where mentality starts. Great point. But I don't know Jose. I don't know what Porto were like when he arrived. But Pep can't. Only Fergie is the only example there I know of for a fact who took over a broken institute and fixed it, and it took him 4 or 5 years to fix Man United. Broken down, beat up version of itself to fix it. Took him a little while to get Aberdeen to a certain level as well. My view is very different to a manager that's taken over already one of the best teams in their league. You would expect almost instant results. We can't just go, well, Pep. The manager isn't still in the right mentality. I think it's going to take any manager who comes in years to fix this club. Some will go, well, Frank's done it at Spurs. Look, Spurs' issue last year wasn't the squad or anything. It was the manager's system. You saw every time Big Ange played more defensive and pragmatically, they won and won quite well. But as soon as he played a massively open game, he was losing. That was purely system. It wasn't even mentality. The players are good enough. They've proven it in these few games. I don't think Spurs are broken in the same way Man United are, personally, but that's just me. I'm back in Amorim, but he needs to start getting things right quickly. Performances and results like this are unacceptable. Sell Bruno ASAP and invest. I agree with that point to a large extent, but let me throw out a counter question, and I'll throw this one to Seb. If Cunha scores these 2 chances today, Bruno buries his penalty and we win 3-1, but everything else is identical, are people saying, is that super chat then relevant?
Well, game state's so important. The game would completely change because the mentality would be different. You'd be comfortably 2-0 up. So, yeah, it's easy to say in hindsight, but the 2 goals go in, take your chances, which will happen in other games. They will take their chances in other games. So, it depends on the game state. But I can see the point, but it has to be reinvested properly anyway. But Bruno is your best player. So, just to go, we need to get rid of him ASAP, I think it's a bit drastic.
I understand that. And look, I'm not saying this super chat doesn't hold water. I'm agreeing with it by and large. But at the same time, we all have a habit when things don't go right of overanalyzing. Like last week, we all went, I can't believe Ahmad's not starting. Well, we should have been a couple of goals up against Arsenal, and there was nothing wrong with the starting lineup if we score goals, but we didn't score. Yeah, but that wasn't Delo's fault. that didn't play a functioning role in us not scoring a goal for me. Jeff Foster here says the longer it goes on, the heavier the shirt. I do agree with that, and the players have got to start scoring soon. Fabio Vieira will help you. See you later. Bayindir is not to blame today. However, on corners, he is Bambi on ice trying to catch a beach ball in a hurricane. But this is where I disagree that he isn't partly to blame. Because I don't know what you felt about this, Lou. But didn't you feel that Fulham's confidence started to come from the crowd started getting up, from the opportunities they were getting from those corners, which kind of encouraged them? We had 20 minutes where we just pegged them back. They were no threat. They get there, they start getting corners, and suddenly there's a mood change.
Suddenly they realize, this is the way to win the match. Just keep getting corners, and eventually one of them's going to go in because a strong wind would blow this by over. Like, honest to God, now I am not a fan of Onana, and I would absolutely get rid of him. And for most of last season, a large part of our fan base was like, why are we not playing Bayindir? Why are we not playing Bayindir? Onana's terrible. We need to get another keeper in the net. Well, I think we're now seeing why he kept playing Onana and why we didn't see Bayindir, because Bayindir is even worse. He's absolutely terrible. And no harm, if I was on the pitch, that's what I'd be doing. And every single team after this match is going to do that. I'd be very interested to see the amount of corners we're conceding compared to other teams last season and now going forward this season, because every single manager of every single team is going to tell his players, get a corner, just keep going for corners, because eventually one of them's going to go in. They can't defend them. And if you do get it anywhere near the keeper, he's going to fall over or give it back to you so you can have another go. So Bayindir falls over or Onana throws it back to them so they can have another pop at it. Like, it's just terrible. And like that, I understand the comment that came in earlier about, we criticise the likes of an Arsenal when we say, it's set piece FC, they can't score from open play, it's all set piece goals. Do you see if it works and it gets you the points? Who cares? Do you know,
love that it works. It's
if
brilliant.
we scored from a set piece, I wouldn't have cared any less. Do you know, a goal's a goal.
I totally agree. And I do think that it plays a part. You could see them getting up for it, and it's a really bad part of the game for us, and we need to sort it out. And that's why when you look at Lemens, one of his biggest attributes, he's in the top 99 percentile of European goalkeepers for catching and collecting crosses. And I understand what David says. It's what I mean by overanalyzing. A lot of what David said today, I think he's right about. And that's why we have conversations to get into specifics. But I don't think our zonal marking is a bigger issue. If the goalkeeper's coming out and catching most of those crosses, I think we suddenly stop worrying. So, because I don't know about you, I'm not worrying about who we're marking, because we clear most of we clear most of our corners. It's the goalkeeper flapping at the ball. I mean, it's not going to fill your players with confidence either.
It's irritating though.
It was similar with Tottenham last year with Vicario, where they kept pumping the balls in and Vicario was just flapping all over the place. It was a big problem, so it was kind of similar.
Yeah. Man United and City suck and long may it continue. Also, Terry, breathe and please don't do a Pep Guardiola. I understand United suck. Yeah, by the way, my face isn't red because I got angry. I literally got sunburnt today. I went to this country show and didn't think it was going to be that warm, and I'm in bits. It's literally.
We don't believe you. You've been in the garden screaming, haven't you?
It's even the chest. Look, the chest from the shirt mark on the chest is ridiculous, man. Fucking, I always put sun cream on, and I just didn't today.
I hope you have aloe vera in your house or Greek yogurt.
One of the best one-on-one wingers in the world, in my opinion, playing as a wing-back because a coach is choosing not to be versatile in formations is criminal. Please send Ahmad our way. Look, I understand it. I mean, look, the irony is there's a lot of United fans that hate that he's not versatile, but they're all because they like Ahmad, who are the same guys that always wanted their managers to have a fixed system and play things a certain way. There's always going to be casualties. That being said, the vast majority of his goals and assists under Ruben Amorim and at Man United have come when he's played wing back, not when he's played in the 10. So there's something in that. But equally, I can't defend Ahmad today. He didn't run it at fullback. Should have run it his fullback, should have attacked, didn't try and take anyone on. I can't criticize Sancho for not doing it and then let Ahmad off. You know, there's another time in the game today. Thankfully, he actually got back and recovered. Dilly-dallying on the ball in his own half, got caught, and a counter-attack nearly happened. Again, Bruno does that. We all rightfully criticize it. Ahmad can't just get away with it because we like him. And I think that's what's got to come into the analysis. And I'm hearing a quote here from the manager where he has said that Kobbie Mainoo has to fight for his place in the United team. And people are now calling it out, and the gaslighting stage has started. And that could be true. But equally, it could just be that he's not working as hard in training as everybody else. Like, we're always very quick to judge based on if we like a player or not. You know, if somebody asked him, why isn't Ugarte starting? And they said he ain't working hard enough. People that hate him would go, I knew he was a bum. They say it about Kobbie because they like him. And it's, well, no, that can't be right because I like Kobbie. There's no objectivity in it. 16 win in 44 games is a spooky record. Do you know what, Gatman, though? It is. But maybe I'm wrong for defending it, or not even defending it, but pointing this out. He told us it would take. People have lied about what he said. If you go back to his first set of interviews, he spoke about how the team's going to suffer, but in a year or so's time, you're going to start to see the benefits of that. We're not a year into it yet. He does have to start getting results, but I've always felt he was very honest about where we really were and how long it was going to take. Equally, a lot of us have understood the whole time. I want to win more games, by the way, and I think that criticism is needed today as an example. But people like myself have said it's a 3 or 4 year period to start making us very good and very consistent, because we're not. And this doesn't get discussed enough by the mainstream. It gets ignored. Buy a few players and you'll be okay. I don't think people could fathom. And I still think everybody, most of the other shows and a lot of other channels I've listened to when they had the debates, so many of Man United's problems when they get discussed are so superficial. We speak about it like we've cracked the veneer, or like we haven't had enough sunbeds, or we've run out of hair gel. That's how people sort of speak about it. They're not understanding that we have a heart condition. Our lungs are packing up. You know, we've got leprosy. Like, we're fucked. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we are so broken, and all we did for years was paper over cracks, go in new directions, paper over cracks, adapt to players. The institute is broken, and Ahmad might need to go. Sorry, Amorim might end up needing to go. But I can only say this with confidence because of the last 12 years. I don't think the new manager makes us that much better. The one thing a new manager might do, and I also think this would be a mistake, and if you adapted to the players and guys, how do you want to play like this? All right, guys, we'll do it. You probably get a really massive new manager bounce and kick, and we'd all go, yay, I knew I was right. But I guarantee in 18 months, if we go in a new direction and start adapting, we don't continue on a certain course, I really think we'll end up back here. It might take a little bit longer than it has under Amorim for people to feel this way, but it's going to repeat itself. And that's the painful part for me, is that what I'm hearing from most Man United fans, it isn't the criticism of Amorim I'm annoyed with. It's the solutions they want are the same solutions that have fouled 7 or 8 times on the bounce. So I find it very hard to converse with it.
It goes back to Man United fans wanting success straight away, but we're gonna. If we've seen it happen multiple times, we give a manager 18 months to 2 years, fails, sacks, repeat the process. If that's not going to work, then we have to try it the other way, ride out the bad period, and see Amorim's project actually come to light, because he ain't going to fix the team in 6 months. A lot of Man United fans have been predicting us high like in European places. realistically, you're better off predicting us just finishing the top 10. So you're not going to be that disappointed, because the fact of the matter is we finished 15th last season. And yes, we've fixed that front line, but they're not going to glue straight away. It's going to take a bit of time to get the goals coming through. So a different team, different system. The Man United shirt is way heavier than the Brentford shirt, the Leipzig shirt, the Wolves shirt. So people need to have time with this front line. The midfield, I can see why people are mad. I'm mad at it. Same with the goalkeeper, because Bayindir and Onana have been here for a year or two, and they're still terrible. But people just need to give the manager time, because Amram hasn't even been in a year yet, and he wants to take over in the summer. And now hopefully we'll be able to see, because we've seen improvement in the play from the Arsenal game. Parts in the first half where we're doing one-touch passing on the left-hand side of the pitch. We see the signs. It's just if he can get hopefully 2 more players in, like the goalkeeper and midfielder, then we'll start seeing it all come together, hopefully.
I hope you're right. This year says your reoccurring issue of the last 9 years is you don't feed your 9. It's very, very true. And it's funny because with Rasmus, that was true in the beginning. And then Rasmus's confidence went, and then he's awful at hold-up play now. He's not even in the right positions, because why? He starts second-guessing himself. And then it's not about feeding him. It's about he's a bad player. It's definitely been an issue. I agree with you. The penalty miss is what cost us, because Yoro nukes it to then Fulham go in retreat, fearing the worst. Would have had the same issue since Oli brought Ronaldo back. Yeah, the penalty miss was massive. You score that just before half time. Again, the second half's different. And game state is right. Seb called it out already. I think it's a great point. Game state changes, which is why, again, it depends on what you think of the manager. I don't typically blame managers for players that should be scoring, not scoring. I've never really done that, and I don't think I'll start now. Same old United for me, lacking in front of goal and no service to Šeško. It's just 2 games, so let's see what's going. I hope my dad never sees my search history for his sake. Big up. Go check out NordVPN. Protect yourself. Man United's next 3 games: Burnley, City, Chelsea. How many points? 3. We'll go with 3 right now. I'm just going to go 3 right now. We'll see. Well, do you know what? I say that. I think we should beat Burnley at home. But City away and Chelsea, even the negative guys that are more angry, they always say this as well. We often turn up against the bigger teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if we grab points in those matches. But right now, I'm going to go with a conservative 4 because they're my team.
5 points from 15 ain't good.
Yeah,
you're looking at it ain't good.
There we go. Look, I want to thank every single person who's tuned in. I want to thank everyone who's hit the like button, everyone who's put in the super chat today. It means a great deal to us at the channel. Obviously, very disappointed in Man United's result today. But we are 1 game unbeaten. So there's always a silver line when it comes to this. And that's sarcasm. And if you don't understand sarcasm, please get off the internet, find some friends, touch some grass. My panel, amazing as ever. This is going to redirect you to MHF to go and watch the boys over there. But until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'm going to go and put some after sun on my face. Peace.